As I began to start my study of Job, the first thing that stuck out to me was patience. I thought I wanted to take this so slow that I grasped every single detail. And I thought to myself, that may take me like a year or two or even longer. And I thought that was pretty daunting. And I'm also currently reading Proverbs for my daily reading. And I realized that in order for the concepts to really stick in my head, I have to read a small amount each day for them to stick. I often feel like I need to read as much as possible, and that determines my dedication to the Bible. But after reading James 5:7-12, I realized that I really should take things slow or practice patience. And I wonder, why is patience so hard? The New Testament titles James 5:7-12 as patient in suffering. So when we think of that and think of the story of Job, we think that we must endure extra suffering while we're also waiting. But we ignore the true suffering is just waiting itself. James 5:7-12 uses the analogy of the farmer planting his seed, tending to them, and waiting until the end of harvest to gather his fruit. And if you know anything about planting or organic gardening, you know it takes a long time to grow anything. So it really does take a lot of patience. I think that the story of Job is the worst case scenario as an example of patience and suffering. And if I had to lose my children, my wife, my friends, my money, my health, I would probably just die from depression. And I think we look at Job's story as the model story of what we have to go through in order to become great. But in reality, most of us will not have Job's story, or we can't even handle Job's story. Corinthians 10:13 states, Yah is fearful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. Yah knows we are a broken people, and he knows what we are capable of. So he's very merciful about that, and he's not going to put anything on us that we cannot bear. While we admire people like David Goggins, who puts himself through so much physical torment, or we admire people who experiences so much trauma and misfortune, we think we have to experience that in order to make us great. Or we put ourselves through a lot of unnecessary misfortune, thinking that's what it takes to be this person on the other end. Now, while we think that is where true growth happens, what we really should be trying to do is master the art of true patience. For example, if you're on a journey trying to start a family, most people will not go through 15 years of IVF, 15 years of infertility, miscarriages, adoptions that won't fall through. But most of us nowadays will wait 2 years and we can't conceive naturally, and we'll say, oh, this is so hard, the world is against us. But if we try to be real patient about it, we'll realize that it's not that big a deal. So when we look at Job's story, and we shouldn't think that I have to do that to be great, but rather if Job was patient in what he went through, how much more patient can I be in taking on 10% or just 5% of what Job actually went through? Without learning true patience, we may subconsciously take on more hardship than what is meant for us to receive, or look for ways to add extra drama to our lives. Now, while we wait, I know it can be hard, but it's hard work just to wait for something, and consistency and patience is really what determines true growth. And that is much harder than what we think. So while we're trying to live this topsy-turvy life, just take it slow, master patience, and that should be one of the biggest takeaways we gather from Job's story.